Bioshock Infinite is the third entry in the Bioshock series developed by Irrational Games and published by 2K. One of the sounds constantly burned into your head, right?
Yeah.
2K. It was released for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, PC, and OS X in 2013, and since then re-released for modern consoles in the Bioshock collection.
Which is a really bad excuse of a re-release, by the way. Just letting you know. It's pathetic. They did the we put the PC settings on max and put it in a new box thing.
They remastered the first two, so it'd be kind of dumb to not throw in the third one.
They did not remaster those things. They did not. They did the we turn the settings up and then put it on a new disc.
Wow.
Really bad.
For the story, the game starts out with you, Booker DeWitt, arriving at the city in the clouds, Columbia, with the mission of rescuing the girl locked up in the tower, just like Reputa de Buda. There are so many spoilers from there on, and yet the story also kind of feels like a paint by numbers, barring a couple of twists. When this game came out, I didn't know anything about Bioshock, and I saw that there was a lot of discourse about the end. So I remember watching it so long ago, but thankfully it didn't make any sense to me. Colombia seceded from America when the guy in charge thought he could do government better. It's not a spoiler when I saw he doesn't. So this was a fun game to try streaming on Twitch to see if that's something we can do with this show going forward. There are open discussions about segregation with different sections of the city built for different statuses and skin color tones.
If the first Bioshock was like maybe kind of subtle, not really about its politics, this game is a sledgehammer.
Yeah, subtle as a train hitting you in the face.
I love it.
You love trains.
I do love trains.
Beans.
Yeah.
Some of the audio logs I found were made by the bad guy, and he's written to be horribly racist and sexist and all of the other ists, which is obviously written, but still a great memory for my first official streams for this show.
You mean the first time he just drops the N-word in the game?
Awesome.
Yeah. Classic gamer moment.
The world building is one of this game's strongest suits. Columbia feels like something that could kinda maybe happen someday. The backstory of the city is well thought out and explained through the audio logs and the kinetoscopes, which are little videos you can find in public displays. Those weren't great because they were very slow moving and not very interesting to look at. The event they depicted happened with very long, slow shots. I was trying to watch all of them for the achievement, which I didn't get. But I usually checked my phone with these, especially when I walked into a hallway, and there's 3 of them side by side by side. Everyone's favorite information source, Wikipedia, claims that Columbia was clearly written to depict American exceptionalism. I can see that.
I sense a but.
But I wonder if it's not quite. It could just be my worldview getting in the way, but I think this was written against Christian nationalism.
Yes! Give me a high five. For once we agree on something. Yay.
Maybe I'm just splitting hairs.
You kind of are, but yes.
Either way, the worldview the writers are clearly having a problem with is flat out wrong. The reason I'm making the distinction is because the bad guy has a lot of seeming Christian-ish noise that he built his empire on. A miracle birth, prophecies about that child, prophecies about the country he's built, prophets, angels, etc. With all these beans out in the open, I want to share a piece of trivia I witnessed in real life.
Oh boy.
Fox News got in trouble one time because they stole the logo for this game to have on a TV behind the show host, and they like changed some of the letters on it, but it was definitely the same logo, and they got in trouble, and I think that is beyond ironic.
That's awesome. I love that for them.
I was pretty skeptical about this game from the outside because of the basics of the story. In my mind, it seemed like the creators were just remaking the first game. A guy goes to a new, weird steampunk place that is distant from the rest of the world, except in this one, instead of going down under the ocean, he goes up into the sky. Whoa.
Oh.
This new place was designed to be utopia, but the guy in charge is a terrible person, actually.
True.
After having played the game, the comparisons remain, but I can say that this game is distinctly different enough that I don't care about the similarities. It doesn't feel like as much of a repeat as it seemed from the outside. Moving on to visuals, in keeping with Bioshock tradition, Columbia is a steampunk city. I love little doses of the different kinds of punk, just not too much, like cosplaying with a fist on a piston or something. It can be overdone, but this Columbia nails the balance of imagining a divergent technology evolution and steampunk. Super cool.
I love steampunk.
The lighting in this game is interesting. I don't know how they did it. I want to make it clear that I'm only guessing. It seemed like they were trying to make it look like ray tracing does today, but achieved that like 10 years ago. There are times when you are meant to look at a statue and it's placed in front of the sun, so you have light beams backlighting the statue. Looks great. It was in the promotional stuff. However, shadows are kind of wonky, especially when they're on characters' faces. Like, up close looking at you and turning their head, it's like, ugh. There were some clear corners cut on the graphics to squeeze out power elsewhere. Maybe because it was designed for consoles? I don't know. Again, I'm guessing. That same backlit statue, I turned 180 degrees and looked at what was behind me, and I found a couple baskets of apples.
I love apples.
These apples were a flat texture that was copied and pasted and formed into a weird box shape inside of the basket. It looked like something out of an OG Tomb Raider or GoldenEye on the 64 or something like that.
That rings a bell, honestly. It's been a while since I played Infinite, but that definitely sounds familiar.
By no means was this common in the graphics. It was just a weird choice to even have baskets of apples in the street when they looked like ass.
Assballs.
A game development cheat that did kind of get in the way of gameplay was leaving or entering sections of the city. The transitions usually meant a hallway or a platform and then a hard door. Are you sure you want to leave this area? Or a painfully slow elevator used to hide a loading screen. It wasn't constant, but it was often, and there was definitely variety. Sometimes instead of a slow elevator ride, it was a gondola ride to a different section.
I like the gondolas.
But by the end of the game, it got kind of old.
Those skyboxes so pretty.
Don't misunderstand, the game does look good. The art style is kind of like Borderlands, but less drastic or extreme or cartoony. I don't know.
It's definitely a less serious art style than the first two games.
Yeah.
I mean, it was mostly a setting thing, but this was what, 2012, 2013?
Yeah, he's already said it. What
I'm
did I
dumb.
say? 2013.
Yeah. Oof, yeah, because that would have been, they could have pushed this for next gen at the time, and they didn't. That's weird. Because the first Bioshock was like 2007.
There was a section in an old abandoned building, I think it was an asylum, where there were like dust particles everywhere, and it looked really, really good. So my complaining about the graphics is kind of
imbalanced,
finding things to complain about, I guess.
Yeah.
But the rest of the game really, really does look good. Moving on to sound design, audio logs are so crispy. I loved them a lot.
They actually play when you're moving around.
They seem to be vinyl recordings in some sort of portable player, and they sound so good.
Dude, can you imagine if we had like portable vinyl players, like when we had those CD players in the mid 2000s?
It'd be so bad.
That would be horrible, but it would be cool.
I also enjoyed that they were mostly placed in areas where nothing would really happen. I had to backtrack or progress to the next thing, and that was going to take a minute, so I might as well listen to this audio journal that I found and adds context to the area I'm in. Holy cow. Game design. Wow.
Holy cow.
Voice acting is perfect. I didn't have any issue with the dialogue that was written or any of the deliveries. Near the end of the game, like the last level or two, the lip syncing was a little bit off, but I don't care. The vigors sound great, which is like the superpowers that you have on your left hand, and appropriate to the element they are using. The fire vigor goes woof, and the electrical shock goes yap. Guns go brrr.
I'm saving that clip. That's great.
I really got nothing. Gameplay, though. Playing the game really is fun. It never felt like auto-aim took over, which is perfect because shooting felt great. It was tough to get used to the button layout, right trigger shoots, right bumper swaps guns, and clicking the right stick aims down the sights. This is because the left trigger shoots the equipped vigor, and the left bumper swaps vigors. So, a gamer brain would accidentally pull both triggers trying to shoot, and I would zap a guy and shoot him, and it was like, crap.
Yep.
Holding the left trigger for a second creates a vigor trap, which I thought was a really cool idea. Unfortunately, I stuck to the same 2 or 3 vigors throughout the whole game out of 8 because I liked how they worked with my playstyle. I think there are too many guns, especially when some of them seem far too similar. This leads to way too many upgrades to purchase. Each gun has 3 or 4 upgrades, and vigors have at least 2 upgrades each. The fandom site says it takes almost 22,000 in-game coins to fully upgrade all the guns, and 14,500 in-game coins for the vigors. It felt like there was a huge difficulty spike about halfway through the game that I just never got over. I can point to the exact moment it happened too. It was when I had the first fight with Columbia's version of the Big Daddy called a Handyman. It's probably in part because I said on stream, I haven't died yet. But I think there are other factors. For the first half, I was one-shotting enemies with my melee, but after that fight, it would take progressively more and more hits to kill just a basic enemy with a melee. Enemies seemed to get spongier in general as the game progressed. I was so close. I was at the second to last boss fight, and I finally changed the difficulty down from hard to medium. I just couldn't do it. Each death costs coins, and there were a couple of times I got down to 0 monies. The final fight is kind of bullshit too. It felt like I got stuck in a loop until a certain event happened. I don't really want to spoil it, but you need to progress the fight, and there are a couple of different fronts, and one front needs to be diminished for the other one to stop. Otherwise, the second one just keeps respawning. It was not good. The coolest thing that I remember from the promotional stuff back when this was released is the roller coaster style rail system that connects all around the city. You monkey noised over my difficult sentence. Roller coaster style rail system.
I love getting railed.
That connects all around the city. There's a cool glove that you get early on that is equipped with a hook that lets you ride this rail system around. I always imagined that I always imagined that would be how you're supposed to get around the city. Imagine like landing on a planet in Destiny. Cool places connected by stretches of loading areas, basically full of nothing, which is cool. But in this, my first playthrough, I found that it was much closer to Doom. Arenas with jump pads or teleporters to help you get around the mobs and try to flank the killer horde. Elizabeth, the girl you save from the tower, is surprisingly helpful. And I say surprising because it always feels like an AI character that literally follows you is only there to get in the way.
Boy!
In this game, however, she quickly hides whenever you enter a fight. There was a heavy emphasis on this one animation where she throws you something she found, be it health or fuel for vigors or ammo or coin, but it was always the same animation. It felt weird and way overused, like there was supposed to be something more to it and that got cut, or maybe someone high up in the development made the animation and it had to be included.
Booker, here!
She also summons items inside the arena, like cover to hide behind, a weapon rack, all kinds of different things. As the player, you don't have a crazy amount of choice about what can be summoned and where. It's just a set couple of things in their set location. Finally, Elizabeth has the knack of picking locks. As long as I had lockpicks, she could pick the giant glowing padlocks that I found. At first, I didn't like having to rely on her to pick the locks, because there's a couple times she's Princess Peached by the bad guys and I was working solo.
Ugh.
But I came around on the concept. It adds to the relationship between Booker and Elizabeth, having to work together and trust each other, etc., etc.
Power of friendship.
Yes. Those are all the notes I've written. I really don't know how I feel about this game. I've been sitting on it for a week now, and it's just like, it looks good to a point, it plays good to a point. The difficulty spike was really awful, and took away from my enjoyment, especially because it's in the end game where the crazy twist happens and you're supposed to enjoy it even more. I guess because it's a 10-year-old game, I can say this did the multiverse thing when the comics were doing it. Like when it kind of became a big deal in the comics, and now it's becoming a big deal in the movies and people are getting sick of it, but it was on the cutting edge of multiverse things. So it's cool. It's fine. It's fun. It's not my game of the year. I can see why it was important when it came out.
I love that that's the conclusion we come to with so many of these games, because we're able to find like very specific things that bother us.
Yes. Something else that bothered me. Because of the multiverse thing, or I guess it's a different timeline. It diverts from the timeline that we know of, and so that's why technology is different. There were a bunch of times when I was walking through the streets and a radio would be playing, or people would be singing songs, and I knew the lyrics, but it was a crazy different tune playing with it, and it sounded so cool. I think one of the songs was Fortunate Son by CCR, and it was a really good remix, I guess, but there's no OST that I could find.
That sucks.
And I was really upset by that, because I enjoyed all the songs that I heard in the streets.
Open up the source files. I believe in you. Hacker man.
I don't know how to edit. Like, it's fun. It was important to the gaming world.
How long was your total playtime?
That's a good question. 11.2 hours.
That's not bad.
And that doesn't include any of the DLC that's included. I don't really know if I want to play those. I don't know. Yeah.
That's fair. You enjoyed it more than I thought you were, because whenever you would give me any like hint as to what was going on, it sounded like you weren't enjoying yourself very much, and that was kind of weird, because I thought you'd like this one a lot more than the first Bioshock, because that one's a lot I don't know, it's less fun. I think it's a better game, but I don't think it's as fun like moment to moment as this one is.
Yeah, this one felt like it was designed to be faster. It was in the Call of Duty age, so the gunplay is snappier.
That's why like half the fandom didn't like it. They're like, no, it's not dark and depressing enough. It is too fast.
Right. The action is just faster in general. I liked that. I think the first Bioshock is kind of slow and a bit of a slog, despite it being really, really good. I want to go back to the story where I say it's kind of paint by numbers, because it's like, it's so much of, I need to go here and get the thing. I need to go here and talk to the guy. Oh, he's not here. I got to get the thing to talk to the guy. It's a lot of that.
Yeah.
And it felt like backtracking, because that's the best keyword I have to explain it, but there's like 3 times in the story that you try to escape the city and you get interrupted, and the gondola is attacked and Elizabeth is Princess Peached. Like, I don't know.
Big Skybird.
Yeah, I said that there was a lot of backtracking. You were like, what? I don't remember any of that. And
yeah, that makes sense.
That's just how it felt.
Yeah, no, I get that. Well,
so there.